What is up everyone, Circon here bringing you guys another video. Today we're going to talk about the update 1.0.2, the second patch. And we all know what is coming. I already made 2 videos about it in the preview section for the K91 and the new object 277, which is the heavy tank. K91 is the medium that is coming in. And basically that's the entire patch. There's 2 tanks added, 2 tanks changed. The 268 version 4 got nerfed finally, about 3 months too late. And the Object 432 is brought more into line with the Object 416 and the K91, and basically gave it less survivability in form of armor, but gave it a way better gun and a bit more mobility as well. Which I think is a good thing, because, you know, it brings them a bit more in line with the whole tech tree. Instead of having the tier 9 have armor suddenly, and then the tier 10 and the tier 8 don't have armor, it's kind of awkward, right? So I think that's a good idea, and I talked about it in the preview as well. So let's see what they did to the K91. So they gave it a bit more health. They changed the turret traverse sector from 180 to 220, so that's a little bit nicer. And that's also because they changed the gun depression on the side of the tank, much like the E50 and E50M. On the side of the vehicle, it will now have 9 degrees. Frontally facing, it will still have 5, but they gave it 9 degrees gun depression on the side. The reload changed as well, giving it a little bit better DPM, and this is the most thing I really wanted out of a buff, and that is the engine power increase, which is very nice. So 220 degrees is nice, and 9 degrees to gun depression. I think that might actually be a bit too much, because now it will be pretty beast in terms of like when you're able to use the gun and all of this. And this also kind of goes against everything you've learned from the tier 8 and 9 that you're playing, right? So I'm not sure if this is a bit too much of a buff. I also don't think it needed a reload, a better reload as well. So I don't know. I'm not sure about this. I mean, I agree with the more health. I agree with the more turret diverse. And I think it's cool that they gave more gun depression on the sides. But I think 9 is probably a bit overkill. But we'll have to see. And it definitely did not need the reload change. And I more than welcome the engine change. That's very nice. Because like I said when I previewed it, I wouldn't mind them if they nerfed the armor and gave it a bit more, you know, a bit more oomph, a bit more horsepower. So that's cool. So the 277 got nerfed. I mean, rightfully so, let's be real. It's still going to be really good. They gave it an extra second of reloads from 11 to 12.5. The aiming time is 2.7, which makes a lot more sense for the gun it has. The dispersion is still pretty good, like 38, like 35 is ridiculously good. 38 is still perfectly fine, workable. Turret first speed you're not really gonna notice, and they changed the heat with the pen as well, and they increased concealment by 20%, which is like, what? What does this mean? Like, why? And changed the positions of ammo rack and fuel tanks. Now that is something you don't read a lot. That is very interesting. And I'm guessing they took it away from the lower plate or something like that. Which would be really fucking nice. Because we all know the Chinese counterpart has the ammo rack fire in the lower... I think they still have that in the lower plate anyway. So, all in all, pretty good changes. I think the 277... like, we'll have to see. It's always so hard to test on the actual test server. I think 277 is still going to be really good. But at least it will actually have a weak lower plate. And the K91, you know, I think it might be a little overbuffed with these kind of things, but at the same time, it requires some finesse to play, right? It is like a second line, third line tank, and you're gonna be sniping with it, and it doesn't have a boatload of armor. It's gonna be, you know, a lot easier to face than Object 140s and 430Us and all that, so we'll have to see how these 2 tanks work out on the actual live server. Now, the tasty nerfs to the Object 268 version 4, a tank that I've refused to play on the live server and will likely continue to play on the live server, just in like solidarity with the people that face them on a fucking daily basis. Like, fuck that. Like, I have not played this tank on the live server purely because it is just the most overpowered piece of shit to ever have hit the live servers. Like, insane. Like, you can compare this to, like, Waffle Traegers, you know? But at least the Waffle Traeger could be penned by a LOL tractor in the turret, okay? This thing was just crazy. So, they nerfed the dispersion during movement by 33%. Dispersion on halt traverse by 33%. Changed the halt traverse speed by 1 degree, that's not significant. and then increase the dispersion on gun traverse by 20%. So it needs a lot more aiming time after, you know, from moving to standing still. Plus, it got 0.5, half a second extra aiming time. Changed the gun traverse speed from 30 to 28. Also doesn't matter too much. Decreased hull armoring, and we'll take a look at that in a second. And changed the top speed from 55 to 50. That is fine. And then reverse speed, 22 kilometers, which was fucking insane, to 18, which is a lot more bearable and normal for tier 10 TDs. And changed the engine power and nerfed it by 150 horsepower, and they gave it 100 less health. Even with these changes, I still refuse to play it. Like, fuck that. Like, oh my god. I can't even imagine people actually free marking that overpowered piece of shit. Like, oh, horrible. Anyway, so this is what they basically did. They have another article up, and you can see all the nerfs here. And then the armor, the weak spot is 201 now. The lower plate, as we like to call it in my stream. And the cupolas got nerfed as well to 232. It's still going to be a pretty durable tank, but at least if you manage to hit the weak spots, which is relatively tough, you will actually pen it instead of just bouncing even the lower plate. Like the lower plate was 236 millimeters at an extreme angle. Like, what were they thinking, man? Woo! Well, at least they got some nerfs finally, right? And I hope to see a whole lot less of them now, and I'm pretty sure we will. And, you know, a horrible tank to be added, and I can't believe it took like, what, 3 months for this shit to get nerfed? And I would almost say shame on everyone that played it, to be honest. Anyway, so yeah, that is pretty much all the tank changes and tank additions. The objects, like I said, the objects 432, the tier 9 got basically put in line with the entire tech tree, so it's more of a tanking, or sorry, more of a sniping tank. So yeah. There's also some changes to new players for less than 1,000 battles. They have some more missions to do and to get a better introduction to the game. Obviously, it's not that big. There's been some map changes and balance changes, which is interesting. But like, I don't think it's enough, right? They actually have a video up about it as well. So on Melanovka, they changed it so that this side of the map has a better odds of getting on the hill. And fighting from the hill downwards is a little slope as well. And then the church area got moved as well. This got moved a little bit better, so you can actually defend yourself a bit against, you know, from people coming down the hill. On fjords, they made that a little bit deeper, so you can like change that. And the other big change is basically that there's like an extra road here, so you can come down from north on one more end instead of just one being funneled in one. You now have two roads, which is a nice change, but like, let's be honest, that's still not great. This map, they changed the castle and a bunch of ridge lines, and I still think it's gonna be 8. Like, they added, like, literally they added a rock. Like, it's not that big, but we'll have to see. And then on this, you can actually see that the rock changed from this position to this to make it a bit better to defend with. But I mean, this just allows people to be like, more like this waffle and just camp more in the base and make the map even more of a drag in a lot of situations where you end up winning that lane. Oh yeah, and the grand battles, no one plays it. All right, congratulations. This is actually, you know, funnily enough, this is what I'm most happy about in the entire patch. Customization for tier 6 and tier 8. I don't know why they're not doing tier 7, but hey, who knows. So now it's going to be tier 6, 8, and 10 vehicles that are going to be customizable. And it probably has to do with strongholds and stuff like that, like tier 6 and 8 are the most played kind of thing. So yeah, you can now put your paints and all that on tier 6s and 8, in regular tier 8 as well. Not just the premium tier 8, which is nice. I like the customization options. And there's been some change for customization as well, that you can see your paint better if you go to the, if you are in the game, you can actually see it. And they showcase it here as well. So instead of seeing it like this in a weird garage, you can go to another garage, you can actually see it a lot better with normal regular lighting. So you can actually see your tank a bit better as you're customizing it. So yeah, that is pretty good. So this is pretty much the whole patch. We got nerfs to the 268 version 4, we got 2 new Russian tanks, and an overhaul for the 430 object version 2. So yeah, overall a decent patch. Is not not every patch can be a new tech tree. I get it. I would have loved to see more changes to maps, to be honest. Maybe even the removal of maps. They don't even talk about like province, for example. And there's a whole host of known issues. One of which is there's no protection from spam clicking the minimap, which is an interesting one. There's a whole bunch of shit here, which is interesting. And then a vehicle with mounted ascent equipment cannot be sold, and stuff like that. Like, it's all kinds of weird, kind of quirky things that they know about. And apparently they don't know anything that the matchmaking is bad. That's not here yet. That's weird. That's not a known issue that the matchmaking sucks. That's a bit weird. Anyway, final note. For the patch, I updated my mod tech again for those who use it. I get a lot of questions like, is it updated yet? Where's your mod pack and all these questions? It's so easy, but I'm actually going to show you one more time. Are you ready? You go to my twitch.tv/Circon. Oh my god, then you use your scroll wheel. It's like, oh my god, World of Tanks mods. Now you can click on this, and it will take you to the downloads. Just download it there, you're done. It's only 2.28 megabytes. As of recording, and as of, you can see the updated here, so 13/6/2018. It doesn't have the gunmark mods in it yet, it just has the other stuff. So yeah, there you go. If you want to use my mods, it's already up to date from day one for once. Yeah, there you go. Thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed these little videos. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. I'm streaming later today, of course. At 5 o'clock, World of Tanks, gonna check out the patch. Probably gonna play some K91. I'm not sure if we're gonna play the heavy tank right away. But yeah, should be a good time. So twitch.tv/Circon. See you guys later today. It's about an hour or so from me recording this. So if you're watching this right as we went live, you can probably catch me live on Twitch as well. Anyway, thanks for the support, guys. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.